Costco's shelves might look like fortresses of trust, but this September, federal recall notices tell a different story. Quietly, urgently, the FDA has flagged multiple everyday foods from Costco warehouses. Items so common you've probably got them in your pantry right now as possible carriers of bacteria, hidden metals, or even botulism risks. Over 100 Americans have already landed in hospitals this year from products sold under those towering red and blue banners, and Costco is still scrambling to pull them back before more damage is done. How many of us are just one bite away from a hospital bed while thinking we're eating safe? How much poison can be tucked inside something labeled family pack before that word becomes a punchline?
Many customers might not notice as they stroll past the pallets of sodas, stacks of egg crates,
and don't, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which Costco foods are under recall this September and which safer brands can take their place without putting your life on the line. Number 1. Water. This September, Costco has been quietly trying to sweep an unsettling crisis off its polished warehouse floors. Because their prized glass-bottled sparkling mineral water just got slapped with a recall notice that could make even the most frugal shopper choke on the price of fancy fizz. In June of this year, federal labs flagged Pseudomonas aeruginosa lurking inside certain 18-packs of 16.9-ounce glass bottles sold at Costco stores from Texas to Louisiana, and even as far west as Arizona and Nevada. Those microscopic invaders may sound like a tongue twister, but they're more like microscopic burglars, capable of sneaking through the bloodstream, hijacking lungs, or turning a simple scratch into a hospital stay if they find someone with a weakened immune system. The lot numbers, 11A2543, 12A2543, and 13A2541 were quietly recalled, and Costco urged buyers to bring them back for refunds. Officials said the risk was low, but that's like saying your parachute might open as you're already midair. And here's where the carbonation turns sinister. This wasn't the first time this bubbly darling has left a bad taste. Independent testing once found the brand had some of the highest PFAS contamination among all sparkling waters on US shelves, clocking in at nearly 10 parts per trillion of these so-called forever chemicals that cling to your insides like cling wrap and have been tied to cancers, liver damage, and developmental disorders. Even after promises to clean up, newer tests still found traces lingering like glitter you can't wash off. It's the kind of refreshment that greets your kidneys like a junkyard greets a Cadillac. Shiny on the outside, rust eating through the frame. Meanwhile, the source of that water isn't the untouched alpine paradise shown on the label, but an industrial aquifer beneath. Monterrey, Mexico, where watchdogs have warned for years about nearby smelters and landfills dripping cadmium, lead, and arsenic into the same groundwater Coca-Cola extracts and ships to Costco. Local wells have dried up while convoys of tanker trucks roll away, brimming with profits, leaving families to watch their faucets sputter air. It's the sort of scene that makes you wonder if you're drinking mineral water or liquid eviction notices, and the rot doesn't end underground. Labor groups say workers at the bottling plants earn poverty wages, collapse from heat exhaustion, and face union-busting tactics that would make even old coal barons spit out their cigars. Imagine dehydrated workers fainting beside conveyor belts while bottling hydration for export. A picture so cruel it could hang in a museum of irony. All the while, Coca-Cola spends millions lobbying to block groundwater protections, greasing the wheels so the spigots never slow, no matter how many human spines bend to keep them flowing. Adding insult to injury, the FDA barely checks imported bottled water at all. Once it crosses the border, the system just trusts the label like a cat trusting a rocking chair. Costco counts on customers seeing the word mineral and thinking miracle, stocking glistening bottles that may carry more toxins than a tackle box, and just hoping no one reads past the pretty fonts. If you'd rather not sip something that doubles as a chemistry set in formal wear, consider grabbing Gerolsteiner sparkling mineral water from Germany, which posts full lab results for every batch, or Mountain Valley spring water from Arkansas, which comes from protected U.S. reserves and is independently audited. Even Perrier, San Pellegrino, and Saratoga sparkling water have publicly documented quality controls that don't rely on crossed fingers. They may not look as Instagram chic, but at least they won't treat your organs like a landfill in disguise. Number 2. Ready-to-eat sandwiches. This spring, Costco's shelves became the stage for a grim plot twist no bargain-hunting retiree saw coming. Because in May, federal regulators dropped the hammer on a sprawling listeria outbreak, tied to ready-to-eat sandwiches and snack boxes from Fresh and Ready Foods. These neat little plastic clamshells, sold not only at Costco, but also slipped into hospitals, hotels, convenience stores, airports, and even airline meals across California, Nevada, Arizona, and Washington. Turned out to be Trojan horses stuffed with bacteria that laughs at refrigerators. 10 people were hospitalized, at least one death has been linked by legal filings, and the FDA confirmed the exact outbreak strain was living inside the San Fernando production plant, like a tenant from hell. The recalled items, marked with use-by dates from late April through mid-May, were pulled, refunded, and quietly swept from sight. But for older shoppers who just wanted something quick, it wasn't food. It was a Popeye loaded gun wrapped in lettuce. What inspectors found inside the plant could make a horror director lose his appetite. Ceiling tiles furry with mold were dripping onto uncovered trays of sliced meat. Food slicers were crusted with layers of old grime, as if they'd been aging their pathogens like fine wine. Whistleblowers described produce going soft and gray beside raw meat, and supervisors wiping green slime off prep tables with paper towels before sending the food straight to packaging. It got even uglier. Multiple workers admitted they were forced to work sick with fever or vomiting under threats of losing shifts. Those shiny snack boxes weren't just harboring listeria. They were shrink-wrapped desperation, sealed tight with the fingerprints of exhaustion and fear. And here's the cruel punchline: the entire system is built to reward that recklessness. Fresh and Ready's business model demands daily restocking to meet contracts, forcing workers into non-stop 10-hour shifts where bathroom breaks are timed like military drills. Pay is so low that some workers secretly ate the same sandwiches they were labeling because they couldn't afford their own lunches. Imagine that. Hungry people building meals for people afraid of going hungry. And Costco? They stayed silent. They just swapped in new lot codes, posted a buried recall notice online, and moved on, as if 10 hospitalized Americans were just acceptable shrink. Even the clean eating label plastered on the packaging was a bitter joke. Health departments later revealed that the plant had tested positive for listeria in its floor drains for nearly 2 years, yet regulators never forced a shutdown. Instead, the FDA handed out corrective action warnings like participation trophies, while conveyor belts kept rolling and spores kept multiplying. It's like giving a drunk driver a GPS instead of taking the keys and expecting traffic to stay safe. Meanwhile, older Americans on fixed incomes kept tossing those boxes into their Costco carts, thinking they were buying convenience, when really they were gambling with time itself. If you want ready-to-eat food that won't double as a bacterial Russian roulette, skip the discount dread and try Taylor Farms Bistro Bowls, which are USDA audited and batch tested for pathogens, or Boar's Head Deli Snack Packs, produced in SQF certified facilities with publicly available third-party safety audits. You can even find Hormel Natural Choice lunch combos or Applegate Natural snack packs, both from brands that publish their inspection scores. They might cost a few cents more, but at least they don't serve fear as the secret ingredient. Number 3, peanut butter crackers. They look so innocent sitting there on Costco's shelves. Those neat beige Ritz peanut butter cracker sandwiches, smiling out from their bright red boxes like they've never broken a single heart. But this July, the illusion cracked wide open when Mondelez Global, LLC, the snack titan behind them, issued a nationwide recall after discovering that the peanut butter packs were secretly masquerading as cheese. Thanks to a botched batch of inner wrappers, cartons labeled cheese were quietly harboring peanut butter sandwiches, turning every bite into a game of allergen roulette for anyone with a peanut allergy. The recalled boxes included the 8-pack, 20-pack, and 40-pack peanut butter sandwiches, plus the 20-pack variety cartons with mixed fillings, all stamped with "best when used by," dates stretching from early November 2025 to late January 2026. The FDA said no one's been reported sick yet, but for millions of older Americans watching their diets like hawks because a single allergic shock could send them into debt or into the ground, that word "yet" hits like a thunderclap. And the thing is, this wasn't some fluke hiccup. It's part of a long, ugly pattern. Just last year, Mondelez was dragged into court over claims that Ritz Bits cracker sandwiches were falsely advertised as being made with real cheese, when the filling allegedly didn't qualify under consumer expectations. This is the brand's calling card: vague, feel-good labels that whisper wholesome, while concealing a laundry list of additives, saturated fats, and sodium heavy enough to raise blood pressure just by reading the nutrition panel. Consumer watchdog groups have repeatedly flagged Uritz for slippery labeling and allergen warnings so buried you'd need an archaeological dig to find them. And that's not harmless, because hidden peanuts aren't just misleading, they can be lethal. A single unmarked bite can trigger anaphylaxis. Your throat closes, your heart sprints, and suddenly what was supposed to be a casual snack turns into a race against the clock. Behind the cheery branding, the supply chain has its own rot creeping through the cracks. Multiple international watchdog reports have accused major peanut suppliers tied to the RITZ supply chain of relying on child labor in West Africa, where kids as young as 10 haul 100-pound sacks of peanuts for pennies. Mondelez has faced repeated lawsuits over allegedly profiting from this forced labor, and instead of cutting ties, it has poured millions into legal defenses while touting ethical sourcing in glossy marketing campaigns. It's the corporate equivalent of putting a bow on a mousetrap. So when older Americans stretch their fixed incomes on bulk boxes of Ritz, thinking they're supporting American jobs, they're unknowingly buying into a system that breaks children abroad while risking allergic collapse at home. Costco, for its part, played the role of silent accomplice. They quietly removed the affected lot codes and moved on. No loud warnings, no shelf signs, just a digital footnote buried deeper than a warranty manual. Shoppers who had already tucked the crackers into their pantries never got the memo, left to discover the danger the hard way. If they were lucky enough to survive the first bite. It's like stocking bear traps in the toy aisle and hoping no one notices until the screaming starts. If you want something with peanut butter that doesn't double as an ethical minefield, reach for Justin's peanut butter snack packs made from transparently sourced U.S. peanuts, or Kind peanut butter protein bars, which come from SQF-certified facilities that post their contamination test results. Even Skippy PB Bites or Nature Valley peanut butter biscuits offer more oversight and public safety data. They may not come with a nostalgic jingle, but at least they won't gamble with your heartbeat or your conscience. Number 4. Cucumbers. They sit there looking like bottled willpower, sleek, green, and smug, as if just owning a Costco tray of cucumbers might cancel out years of microwave dinners. But in late November of last year, that health halo shattered when the FDA and CDC linked a raging salmonella outbreak to fresh American slicer cucumbers grown by Agrotado SADCV in Sonora, Mexico, and shipped to the U.S. under brands like Sunfed Produce, Loyan Farms, and Russ Davis Wholesale. The recall yanked every cucumber shipped between mid-October and late November after 68 people in 19 states fell violently ill and 18 were hospitalized, with symptoms ranging from fever and vomiting to kidney-threatening sepsis in older victims. These weren't some weird imported delicacy, just the plain cucumbers retirees buy in bulk to stretch their SNAP cards and keep their blood pressure steady. Instead, they were unknowingly spinning the chamber in a produce aisle game of Russian roulette. And this wasn't a one-time nightmare. Just a few months later, another salmonella outbreak hit cucumbers grown by Bedner growers in Florida and distributed by Fresh Start Produce Sales. This one sickened 69 people across 21 states and hospitalized 22. Epidemiologists traced both outbreaks to a chilling pattern. Water sources tainted with fecal bacteria, field equipment testing positive for salmonella, and packing sheds where sanitation existed more on paper than in practice. Investigators say some farms used untreated wastewater for irrigation during droughts, while laborers denied bathroom breaks, relieved themselves in nearby ditches before returning to pack produce by hand. That crisp, refreshing crunch in your salad, it might have been basted in human sewage before it ever hit your fork. If a horror screenwriter pitched this as veggie apocalypse, Hollywood would call it too grotesque to be believable. Yet here we are, dipping it in ranch. The corporate response made it even more nauseating. Costco kept accepting shipments long after FDA inspection files showed repeated salmonella swabs on Sunfed's packing lines, claiming they follow federal guidance, while banking on the fact that most shoppers never dig through government enforcement reports. Some Costco stores even left recalled cucumbers on shelves for days, either unaware or unwilling to pull them fast enough. It's like knowingly inviting a pickpocket to Thanksgiving dinner because he promises to wear nicer shoes this time. Meanwhile, Agrotado's cucumbers were slipping not just into produce aisles, but into salad kits, wraps, and pre-cut veggie trays across the country. each extra processing step multiplying the chance of cross-contamination until one raw cucumber could take down an entire airplane galley. And the human cost behind those green skins is as grim as the bacterial one. Workers on these mega farms often earn less than $7 a day, live packed in sheds without plumbing, and spray banned pesticides like carbofurin barefoot, coughing blood by dusk. Some told watchdogs they rinse cucumbers for export in the same basins they use to wash pesticide tanks. These aren't just vegetables, they're artifacts of human suffering dressed up as health food. Every bite older Americans take to stay healthy quietly drains the people forced to grow them. The kicker? Less than 1% of imported produce shipments are fully tested at U.S. ports. If your cucumbers dodge that microscopic lottery, they slide straight to Costco's pallets, where a recall becomes just another bookkeeping chore. But for someone living on Social Security, one contaminated cucumber could mean trading dinner for dialysis. If you still want the crunch without the roulette, skip the industrial greenwashing and choose Nature Sweet Mini cucumbers, grown hydroponically in tightly monitored U.S. greenhouses, or Sunset Mini cucumbers, raised under Canada GAP certification with batch-by-batch microbial testing. They may not come by the crate, but at least they won't come with an ambulance bill. Number 5. Beef snack sticks. They strutted into Costco's aisles wrapped in words like clean, grass-fed, and protein-packed, the way a used car might strut onto the lot under a fresh coat of wax, hoping no one looks under the hood. But in March this year, that shiny veneer cracked when the USDA forced Idaho Smokehouse Partners, the maker of Chomp's original beef sticks, to recall nearly 30,000 pounds of their so-called ready-to-eat meat sticks after customers reported finding metal shards hidden inside. We're not talking a stray flake of foil. Real metal fragments embedded like teeth in what was supposed to be an afternoon pick-me-up. The recall covered 1.15-ounce vacuum-sealed sticks sold as singles, 8-packs, and 12-packs with lot code 25016. Stamped Best Buy, February 10th, 2026. 2 complaints were all it took to reveal that what many retirees thought was a safe protein boost might instead slice open their gums like they were chewing barbed wire jerky. And that's the rotten core under the clean label halo. Even before this recall, Chomps had been quietly caught bending the truth like a wet paper straw. Earlier this year, they quietly dropped their boasts of being carbon neutral, having a net positive impact, and using regenerative agriculture after the National Advertising Division ruled those claims unproven under FTC green guides. Rather than fight, Chomps just scrubbed the slogans and hoped no one noticed. But consumers did, and so did competitors. Trade insiders whispered that much of Chomp's beef comes from Australia and their venison from New Zealand, yet their packaging flaunted idyllic Americana, complete with rustic fonts and prairie sunsets. Advocacy groups pushed for documentation of these sourcing claims. Chomps offered only partial proof, eroding trust among the very health-conscious shoppers they were courting. It's like selling farm to table while forgetting to mention the farm is 12,000 miles away. Behind the PR haze, the production floor has its own shadows. Labor reports describe low-wage migrant workers enduring punishing quotas and being denied water on shift to cut bathroom breaks. Some whistleblowers described meat left unrefrigerated long enough to sweat bacteria like a sauna, with supervisors threatening anyone who reported safety lapses. Imagine cranking out healthy snacks while standing ankle-deep in beef grease. Praying the metal shards in the machinery don't end up inside someone's lunchbox. That's not wellness. It's roulette with protein sticks as the bullets. What makes this especially cruel is how Costco marketed Chomps as the perfect on-the-go protein for seniors during warehouse promotions, never mentioning each stick carries over 600 milligrams of sodium, enough to spike blood pressure like a jackhammer. They stamp 0 sugar on the label like a gold medal while quietly loading enough salt to make cardiologists twitch. For older Americans living on fixed incomes, trying to make smart choices from Costco's curated shelves, realizing their clean protein might come laced with metal and health hazards is like learning your therapy. Dog moonlights as a loan shark. Meanwhile, Chomp still blocks independent animal welfare audits even as it brags about ethical sourcing, and continues buying from suppliers listed by the USDA as repeat animal cruelty violators. It's the moral equivalent of putting a smiley face sticker on a crime scene. Their empire thrives on cognitive dissonance. Preach health, practice hazard and hope no one connects the dots. If you want portable protein without the nightmare garnish, try Country Archer grass-fed beef sticks, which publish third-party welfare audits, or Brooklyn Biltong air-dried beef made from pasture-raised cattle on audited regenerative farms. Even Vermont Smoke and Cure Meat Sticks use U.S. raised meats under USDA humane handling certifications. They won't snap like plastic when you bite. Them. And they won't come with a side of guilt either. Number 6. Canned tuna. Crack open a can of tuna and you expect the smell of salty ocean air. What you don't expect is a cocktail of mercury, rotting flesh, and human agony compressed into aluminum. Yet that's what lurks inside the Genova and Van Camp's canned tuna towers stacked at Costco, which in February were quietly yanked from shelves after federal inspectors flagged a botulism risk from defective pull-tab lids. Those shiny, easy-open tops were failing to seal fully, inviting moisture to seep in and letting Clostridium botulinum grow its paralyzing toxin inside like a silent landmine. No one's died, yet. But botulism doesn't give second chances. It can turn a cheap lunch into a ventilator bill overnight, especially for older Americans whose immune systems are already running on fumes. And here's the kicker. These same brands have been caught before, again and again. Not for bad luck, but for cutting corners until the ocean bled. Mercury is the shadow in every bite. Independent lab tests have repeatedly found Genova albacore with mercury levels pushing 0.77 parts per million, close enough to the FDA's action threshold to make neurologists sweat. The agency admits just 2 cans a week can push an older adult over the safe limit, risking tremors, memory loss, and irreversible nerve damage as mercury builds up in the brain like rust-corroding old wiring. Costco sells them in cheerful 12-packs, as if shrink-wrapping brain poison in bulk discounts makes it wholesome. It's the kind of slow-motion sabotage you don't notice until you can't remember your grandkids' names. And that's before you even touch the human misery chained to every can. Investigations by Greenpeace and The Guardian uncovered how the tuna fleets supplying Van Camps are lashed to modern-day slavery. Survivors testified to being starved, beaten, and imprisoned aboard trawlers for months, forced into 20-hour shifts, some chained to railings, others watching shipmates tossed overboard like trash. These weren't old pirate tales. They were sworn depositions tied directly to Costco's supply chain. U.S. Customs even blocked shipments from Thai union-linked boats over forced labor, yet the brand simply rerouted the fish through middlemen until the paperwork smelled clean. It's suffering laundered through bureaucracy, so consumers can keep spreading wild-caught protein on their crackers without hearing the screams under the brine. The oceanic collateral damage is staggering. Genova's parent company still uses massive Percy seine nets and fish aggregating devices that don't just catch tuna, but strangle sea turtles, dolphins, and sharks by the tens of thousands. Marine scientists estimate that for every single pound of canned tuna, up to 5 pounds of other ocean life are slaughtered and dumped overboard. Picture an older shopper delicately making tuna salad on whole wheat toast, never realizing they're chewing through an entire food chain like they just ate a burger and accidentally swallowed a zoo. Even the quality inside the can is a gamble. Consumer Reports in Oceania found decomposition markers and histamine spikes in random samples, proof the fish was spoiling before sealing. Some cans were literally bulging from bacterial gases, yet still slip through because less than 2% of imported seafood is ever tested by the FDA. The rest sails straight to Costco's warehouses like plague ships with smiley stickers, and the factory floors behind them are even darker. Ex-workers from Southeast Asian plants described 14-hour shifts barefoot on ice-slick floors, their hands bleeding as supervisors sneered they were as replaceable as plastic bags. That's the hidden cost of your value pack. Cheap tuna built from broken spines, rotting meat, and mercury-laced lies. If you want seafood that won't rot your nerves or bankroll slave ships, try Wild Planet albacore tuna, which is pole and line caught and mercury tested batch by batch, or Safe Catch Elite tuna, which screens every fish for mercury and enforces strict fair labor standards. Even Ortiz, Conservas Ortiz, and American Tuna offer audited sourcing with third-party sustainability seals. They cost a bit more, but at least they won't leave you chewing on guilt, brain poison, and ghost stories in a can. Before the next safe bite betrays you, uncover the truths they hide. Subscribe now and protect what's left of trust.